I need a motion and a second to move into public session. Second. All in favor? Aye. I'd ask that everybody stand and recite the pledge of allegiance. At a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mary Jane, can you do the roll call?
Ms. Ogolas?
Present?
Ms. Kennedy? Present. Ms. Benito? Canico, I'm sorry.
That's okay, present.
Mr. Marshall is absent. Dr. Adams?
Present.
Mr. Ricci? Absent. Ms. Donnelly? Ms. Manley?
Present.
Mr. Middleman?
Present.
And Ms. Hutchinson?
Present.
Mr. Musa?
Present.
And Ms. Kay? Mr. Kay, I'm sorry.
Okay, is there any changes to the meeting? If there is, okay, moving on to approval of minutes for September 25th, 2018, for the planning session. I need a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, moving on to recognitions. Dr. Adams?
We have a large group here today because we have a lot of kids that we want to recognize today. We have a very vibrant community library, and we couldn't be happier to be able to partner with our community library. And so one of the things that we get to do each year is recognize the students who participated in the Battle of the Books. So is Angela Breslin here today. All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about Battle of the Books this year?
Battle of the Books this year is very exciting. We competed against 41 other Suffolk County libraries. The students get from May 15th to the day of the battle, which was August 11th this year, to read 8 books, and then they have to memorize facts from each of those 8 books, and they compete against all other 41 libraries. And we won this year. No, it's not easy.
I noticed it all the time.
So we have 2 participants, a mock battle, 2 participants, and team mentors. So
Yes.
why don't you tell us a little bit about the different roles?
Yes, you can only have 6 people who actually participate on the day of the battle. So during the summer, we have a mock battle that we do against Patchogue, Medford, and Sachem libraries, so that the new kids who came onto our team would actually get to see what happens at Battle of the Books, and the entire team gets to participate in that. We have mentors who have aged out from that they're no longer in the 6th through 9th grade age group, so they can be from 9th through 12th grade, and they come back and they spend their summer hours mentoring the team. We've had a college student come back the past 3 years, and she mentors our team, and she was on battle from 6th grade through 12th grade, and she finally got to see a winning team, so it was very exciting for us to have her there. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't you help me here?
Sure. Lilia Lumosi. Akshat Kiyabad. Samir alternates on the day of the battle, so they are very important team players. Have our assistant coach come on up, Dina Oliver. One of our mock battle team participants is Tyler Golden, and please come on up. I would just like to let everyone know who was the other battle members that couldn't be here today. We had Madeline DiCatano and Julia Randazzo. They were on our winning team and couldn't be here today. The rest of our team was Caitlin McCourt, Thomas Anderson, Krish Patel, Tyler, Lindsay Kahn, Nicholas Kroll. And our team mentors, a lot of them couldn't be here because they're playing sports for the district. Amanda Peroni, Patrick Wright, Joshua Peroni, Lawrence McCourt, and Abigail Savitt is our college student who has come back the past few years.
What was your favorite book, and why should I read it? Tyler, what was your favorite book?
Oh, I like Fuzzy Mud.
Fuzzy Mud. Why was that? Why was that your favorite? Which is good. It held your attention. You kept turn those pages. Couldn't wait. Okay. Leah, what was yours?
The Thief,
E. Tell me why.
because it had a very unexpected plot twist at the end.
Tell me. Okay.
Mine was Frame, because like the mystery of every book, I just framed as well. Like you could never figure out what was happening, and the boy's talents were the main character's talents were crazy, and there was always like an air of mystery.
Awesome. Samir, what was your favorite?
Frame.
So say 3 for framed. Okay. Okay, tell me what.
My favorite was the Thief, even though like everyone at the final hated it. I didn't.
I loved it too.
Yeah.
Like the other teams, that was your least
It was
favorite
the
one.
least favorite of the entire team.
So what did you like that?
It's just a lot of the characters. It was in the past, so it was very interesting to read about things that were kind of based off of real life events, also had some air in the future and the past.
So like historical fiction, but also to the future.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite?
My favorite was Book Scavenger, and it was my favorite because of like all like the puzzles included, and there's just something about it that I like.
I got Dan here today to take pictures. Oh, we're good. We're timing. Come on, you guys are ready.
Ready, you guys? 1, 2,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I know his coach couldn't be here, but I would like to recognize Chase here. Could you come on up? Okay. All right, so Chase is on the varsity high school golf team.
What grade is he in?
He's a 7th grader, so this is his first year. Seems like you come from a pretty strong golfing family, right? Because Dad, you golf too, Dad?
Two brothers, older brothers are on varsity, so the 6 daughters, 3 of them.
Wow, all right. But Chase did something pretty special. So this summer, Chase took first place in the Metropolitan Junior PGA Championships at the Millburn Country Club Correction Admin, which is amazing. And what's nice is we have 6 years for him to play for us.
There's
So.
one behind me too, this is the 5-year-old train.
Should look good.
So, this does spell for Tyler, Kyle, or Dad. Dad, that way Dad takes you home. All right. Dan, come on up.
I'm gonna let the superintendent take a picture of you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We'd love to see your slides. I'm like I'm 2 weeks old.
Okay. Mr. Brandon, I see you. Come on over.
Hello, everybody. Pleasure. Hi, how you doing? Good evening, board, and everyone is here. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Mr. Grandin. I teach at the high school. I've been there 16 years. I have no idea where the time went, but the 16 years went pretty darn quick. I teach media arts, filmmaking, graphic design, AP art history. In spring of 2018, I nominated Victor Barzani for the Scholar or Artist Award. It has never been won by a Connecticut School District student, so it's the first of its kind. It is based upon not only his studies, but his portfolio. And when the subcommittee, when I spoke to them, they were completely floored by his portfolio. It took their breath away. Every month, for all the way until July, 2 artists will be featured in both Nassau and Suffolk will be featured artists in part 2 of Newsday. And it's going to culminate through a large event at the Tilly Center in, I believe, July. Either way, I just can't wait for the party, to be honest with you. But without further ado, I'd like to announce Victor Barzani. I was thinking because we feature all night, we have an all film festival, and look at all these people. They're like, can you please, next time?
Next time.
I promise, all right?
Short clips, like what do you think is your best work?
You got it, rock.
Would you do that?
Yeah. All right. Did we get a picture?
Of course.
All right, let's do
we're
this.
here for it.
Thank you.
I will show you guys his portfolio.
Well, I told you, next time you're gonna see it all. You're gonna be here all night long. Thank you. Thank you.
They like to lead to the board.
No, you have to stay. That's it, we took the roll. That's it. Next year's.
So, Mr. Kennedy, welcome back.
How are you?
Thanks for coming up. So, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. I'm off today, I'm feeling well today, so it should be your name. I see you around, Adam. Welcome to work, thank you for being here tonight, and I guess for the rest of the year, at our board meetings. Yes, so you guys are up, so what is it you need to inform us?
Yep.
This next week we'll be at homecoming. Everybody has to turn out. There's a combination of students, teachers, and Connecticut alumni. Folks were phenomenal. Seniors came in first place, juniors came in second, freshmen came in third, and sophomores came in fourth. Safe Halloween is coming up on the 20th. It's $5 a child, and it's from 12 to 2. And then this Friday, I believe, we have Mr. Rohan Murphy coming in to speak to the students. He's a youth speaker. He motivates people to make healthy lifestyle choices. I haven't personally seen him, but I have watched bits and pieces of his performances, and they're phenomenal. They're real motivational. He is a wrestler with it.
Yeah, he used to.
He went to Penn State University, wrestled nationally, and overall, he is an amputee.
Oh, you know, and what was one that, you know?
I believe it was just a book. But he's still becoming very successful. He's still doing this, so it's his thing.
So, and what in particular does he speak about? When we say about choices, is it drugs or just peer pressure? Or
I actually have the packet right here with all the information that you sent. It says that he's a motivational speaker and performer, star wrestler from East Islip High School. I believe that the majority of his message is to make proper decisions in life and health-wise, just like good decisions in general, and then also just making healthy choices, things like that. And then the last two things that we have for tonight is the Thanksgiving food drive is going to kick off at Safe Halloween. So anybody who would like, who's attending Safe Halloween, if you want to bring any type of canned food item or anything like that, we'll be collecting those starting from then, and that will end on November 16th. And then our final thing is that we have begun discussing preparation for Springfest for this upcoming spring season for our second year in a row. We don't have a tentative date yet, just because the spring schedules are not out yet, so there's nothing we can really do to schedule that, athletics or anything like that. But that is our plan so far.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome aboard. Great to see you guys. Okay, we're moving on to policy. Okay, so we have policy 2410, development, adoption, and implementation, discrimination, and review. So we have a first reading for...
No, 2410 is being motion to temporarily suspend.
Okay, so do I take a motion in a second? All right, so I'm going to take a motion in a second to suspend until next meeting? Until you finish, okay.
Just temporarily.
Temporarily,
Yes.
okay.
For the purposes of addressing the sexual harassment policy that needs to be adopted today in accordance with the Department of Labor regulations and laws.
Okay. So I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to first reading of policy 0110. And we also have,
First reading and adoption.
I'm sorry?
First reading and
First
adoption.
reading and adoption.
Okay. Okay, so is there any major changes done to this?
The changes were made to be consistent.
Oh, thank you. The changes were made to be consistent with the Department of Labor law, which requires every employer to update or have a sexual harassment policy that's consistent with the Department of Labor model. So your sexual harassment policy was updated to be consistent with that model.
So I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to first reading on policy 66. 40 inventories. No changes done to
No,
that?
no changes.
No changes?
Well, there might have been changes.
Yeah, so the following policies, I'll just chime in a little bit. We underwent a Title I audit at the end of last year, and the recommendations from the auditor from New York State Ed was to make the following: number 4, which is 6640, 6700, 8410. Make those adjustments within those policies to be in line with our Title I and ESSA regulations.
So do I need to make a motion in a second for each of those policies? Okay, so I'm going to take a motion and a second for policy 6640, 6700, 8410. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have an adoption of the second reading. Nothing there. There's anything reviewed? Nothing reviewed, nothing abolishment. Okay, so we're moving on to discussion items. Guidance update.
we have any, that's this, right?
Yes.
What's the other?
Mrs. Matthews is here tonight to share with us a guidance update.
We can move back to public comment. Thanks for joining us on Thanks for Rest.
Well, no, it's just like we can't see the board, that's why we moved it. If we move it, then we can board up, so that's fine.
Oh, here it is. I do have one. So I go
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Adams, members of the board, for allowing me to speak with you this evening and share with you all the great things that have been going on in the Counseling Center. But before I do that and get into the bulk of my presentation, I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my background, since I'm new to the district and I haven't had a chance to necessarily meet everybody in the room. Ultimately, this is my 21st year in education, so I've been around for a while. You know, during that time, I've had varied experiences in the Northport, Colmac, and South Huntington school districts. Some of that time, or first couple of years of my career, I spent as a middle school counselor. I also have experience as a high school counselor, spent 6 years as a high school counselor. During that time, I also coached young men in lacrosse and soccer at the high school levels. Actually had a chance to be part of the state championship lacrosse team, which was very exciting in Northport. I also spent 2 years as an assistant principal in Northport before moving on to the Colmac School District. And I've spent the past 11 years as a district director of guidance in Colmac, South Huntington, and now here in Connecticut. So, you know, when I first came into the district, I had to basically do a little bit of an assessment, try to get my feet wet, try to assess where we're at, what things need to be looked at, where I want to really spend my time initially for the first couple of months in the school district. And really, one of the things that quickly rose to the surface was our Naviance software program. Naviance is a great tool that can really be very helpful to parents and the students in the college selection and application process, and also in regards to exploring different career opportunities. And you know, I felt like I needed to do a little bit more to help familiarize people with this program and to make them aware of all the features that are available through the software program and how parents and students can utilize it more effectively. So I decided to offer 2 workshops in the community. One of those workshops was held during the day on E21. The second workshop was held in the evening on E28. And I actually, you know, was hearing different things, weren't too sure how many people were going to attend, and I have to say I thought that they were very well attended. We had about 40 families in total, so more people than 40, but 40 families in total. And really, I couldn't handle any more families than that. If I did, the computer labs would have been overflowing, and already in the evening presentation, I kind of had to bounce back and forth from the 2 computer labs on either side of the library to manage all the people that were present. It was just me doing those presentations that evening, and the one during the day as well. As I said, they were very well attended. Really, the purpose of those meetings was to do a couple of things. The purpose was to provide families with an overview of the program, what's available through Naviance, what you can use it for. Also, I wanted to provide parents and students with their login information so they would know and learn, be able to access Naviance and utilize it effectively. And the third was to provide parents and families with an opportunity to play with the program a little bit, with me there to help support them if they ran into any problems and so on, to help guide them through and again, show them all the different available features. However, before I was able to utilize or to run these workshops, there was a lot of work I had to do in the background. So I really spent quite a bit of time preparing the program, pulling information from our eSchool system, loading it into Naviance, loading parent information in, loading registration codes into the system, figuring out how to load GPAs into Naviance so that way we can take full advantage of the program once it's up and running. And so, you know, a lot of that time and effort was spent prior to those workshops, and in the end, I feel like it paid off because most people that were in attendance really spoke very favorably about it, and I think we're happy to be there and got something productive out of it. Also, just I think a little too fast, but I also plan to offer some workshops in the future as well. Probably sometime late November, early December, I'll run another workshop for families. And then really more specifically for juniors, once we get in, really in the springtime, February 13th, we kind of kick off our planning for juniors. We have a junior parent night, and somewhere around that time, I'll probably do another workshop for junior families, specifically regarding Naviance, because our councils will then be meeting with juniors regarding the college selection and application process, having junior parent conferences, and it really ties in nicely to be reviewing again the features that are available to those families in particular during that time. This next slide just shows you some of the different snapshots of the pages that are available in Naviance. The one on the right is what the logon screen looks like. The snapshot on the left is once you log into the program, that's the first screen that students will see. And the bottom snapshot, this is one of the most popular features of Naviance, and this is the scattergram feature. And this is really a great tool because what it does, you can pull up a scattergram for every college that's in Naviance, and there are a few thousand colleges that have information loaded into Naviance. And this scattergram allows a student to see where they fall in comparison to all the other students that have applied to that particular college from ConnectQuad in the past 4 years. I did recently change that setting to be 4 years. It used to be left open, and I decided that 4 years was a better guideline for families because if you let it go over too long a period of time, you know, the application data isn't going to be as accurate because as time goes on, colleges have typically been getting more competitive, and so keeping it within a 4-year span, I think, keeps that data pretty accurate and gives families a good idea. The one piece about this that's important to mention is that really what these scattergrams are taking into account are 2 data points. It's taking into account a student's standardized exam scores, and it's taking into account their grade point average as well. Okay, again, hence the reason why I need to get those grade point averages loaded in there, so we would have those data points to compare against, and again, make the program work effectively.
John, can I jump in for 1 second?
Sure.
This is such a huge tool for parents because this is SUNY College of Geneseo. So if your child wants to apply to Geneseo, your child is this point right here in the crosshairs. So you can actually see where your child is in comparison to everybody else who's applied. So the check marks, green check marks, are kids who have actually, check marks are kids who've actually been accepted and what their GPA and their SAT scores were. And the blue circles are kids who attended, and then the X's are kids who denied. So if you come and you look and your GPA is here, if you go to apply to that school, the likelihood is people around you didn't get in, it might be a reach school for you. You might have something else that would make you a good applicant. They need late French Morton, they need a French Morton that year. And if you're way up here, this is a school you're nearly guaranteed to get in. So it's one of those things as a parent, you see your child's data point and you can see what kind of school it is, whether you even want to apply at all, because I'll use my oldest son as an example. My oldest son was down here somewhere in a lot of schools. And I'm like, why are you applying to that one and spending our $55 when no one's ever gotten in there? So it's really nice for parents to be able to see what college that you're looking at, and you can actually see how many kids who applied, got in, and actually attended.
Who inputs what?
The counselors do. Yeah, as students are applying to college, they enter that information, and then again at the end, when students make their decisions as to where they'll be attending and so on, that information gets entered as well. You know, just to expand on that one additional piece, you'll see check marks that are, you know, down and to the left, and well, how did this kid get in to this school when they're, you know, kind of not meeting the average GPA and SAT score? And Naviance is a great tool, but it doesn't always tell the whole story. Okay, so that student may have been an outstanding cello player, and it so happened that they needed a cello player at that particular time, or the student's, you know, an all-American lacrosse player, and they, you know, and is being recruited to participate on that team. So there are other variables that come into play in regards to the the application process, and can help a student be accepted to a particular college. So as I was working on Naviance, there were some other things that I had to take a look at as well. I had to take a look at our school profile, because our school profile gets loaded into Naviance. And so I needed to make updates. Every year we need to make updates to our school profile. And I also needed to look at our student transcripts, because our student transcripts get loaded into Naviance, and ultimately that information is submitted through Naviance to the colleges our students are applying to. When I was looking at our student transcripts, I noticed a couple of things, and I thought that, hey, you know, if we make a few enhancements here, it's just going to help our students out that much more in the process, and really help to make them a little more competitive or in the process, or make them more comparable to other students who are applying to colleges from other schools. Okay, so there were three areas that I identified as things that we can enhance, and the first was our class size. So listing our class size on the transcript. The second was indicating our students' weighted GPAs on our transcripts. And the third was including the academic level of each course on our transcripts. And, you know, before going ahead and moving forward with these things, I definitely involved several different groups of people in discussions, communicated. First group of people I went to was our counselors. They're the ones that are dealing with transcripts every day. They know the history of Connect-Quad. Spoke with them about the transcript enhancements. They all thought that they were favorable and wanted to move ahead with it. I also then, you know, had conversations with several different administrators, including Mr. Costa, Dr. Adams, Mr. Middleman, Ms. Manzi, and really in the end, everybody felt positively that these enhancements would be good steps for us to take and to really help support our students moving forward. So, you know, what's the methodology behind these enhancements? Why did I want to make these enhancements? And really, including our class size, that'll allow colleges to see how large our school is and how many students each individual is competing against. If you are part of a very small school district and you're ranked number 20 out of 80 students, well, that's good, but it's a lot different than being number 20 out of 490 students, like a school district like Connect-Quad. So listing our class size in many instances will be helpful to our students and a good thing to list there. Providing our students weighted GPA, like I said before, will allow them to compare more similarly to students in other districts. Many school districts are listing a weighted GPA on their transcript, and you know, I felt like if our students are applying to college, even if they're one of the top students in our class and they only have a 99.9 GPA listed compared to a student in another school whose weighted GPA is listed there at 103.4, while admissions counselors will really compare students against students in their own school, my feeling is that still leaves a little bit of, you know, it resonates in admissions counselor's head. So I think it's better to compare 103 with 103 versus an unweighted versus a weighted average. And in the end, I think it's something that's going to help our students out in the process. And lastly, listing the academic level of our courses, we utilize a level of 1, 2, or 3 for our different courses. Level 1 courses are our AP courses. Level 2 courses would be our honors or our college level courses, and level 3 courses are our Regents level courses. That information is explained in our school profile, but I think on average, admissions counselors are typically spending about 3 minutes on a college application. That is not a lot of time, and so we need to make that information as easily presentable as possible to those admissions counselors so they can get the information very quickly. So listing that academic level, that 1, 2, or 3 on our official transcripts that are being sent to colleges will just make it that much easier for them to identify the weighted courses on a student's transcript and then give them credit for those pieces, you know, as they're determining whether they should be accepted or not. And strengthening curriculum is one of the most important factors that college representatives will look at when determining whether to accept a student to a college. So while those two areas, Naviance, the transcripts have definitely taken a bunch of my time in my first couple of months here in the district, I also thought that it was important to share with you some other areas that I've been focusing on and thinking about as we move forward. And I'll try to move through these next 2 pages a little rather quickly, but there's quite a bit of information on them as well. Of course, there are different nights that we hold each year, and so I've been planning and preparing for those evening events. Our college night happened a couple of weeks ago. It was a great event. If anyone was there at the height of that event and walked into the gymnasium, it was quite packed, and we had an excellent turnout. We do that event every year with Sayville High School. A week later, on February 3rd, we had our financial aid event, which again was well attended. We had about 80 families there. And I brought in a representative from Lloyd College, Eugene Rogers, to talk about the financial aid process for our students. He really did a very nice job. Many parents came up afterwards to thank him for coming and to ask additional questions about the financial aid process that were a little more particular to their individual situations. And I thought he did an excellent job, and I was able to have him come and speak to us for free. And I've paid people $500, $800 in years past to come in and do these presentations. And in my mind, he did just as good a job, if not better, than some of those other individuals I've had in the past. Coming up on November 24th, we were going to have our athletic recruiting process evening. I'd like to thank Mr. Delicate for helping coordinate, put that together. We're going to be doing that with several other high schools, and we're going to have a gentleman who's a Major League Baseball agent come and speak to parents. It's going to be taking place at Sayville High School, but come and speak to families about the college athletic recruiting process and really talk about the nuts and bolts of that process. And I think it would be great to have someone with his expertise sharing with our families.
Just baseball or all sports?
No, he'll be focused on all sports. He has to be a Major League Baseball agent, but he's going to be talking about the recruiting process in general. And that's really, students, we're advertising that to students from middle school level up, because believe it or not, there are students that are committing or have committed recently in the past as early as 8th grade for college, which is a little bit ridiculous in my mind because so much changes from the time they're in 8th grade to when they're in college.
What about the chef boy here? He's the only one.
He could definitely it would definitely be a good night for him. If he was still here, I'd tell him to come. But it definitely it will be a worthwhile event, I think, from anyone who's interested in playing sports at the next level, without a doubt. And then a little bit later this year, as I mentioned earlier, on February 13th, we'll have our junior college night. I have a gentleman, Rob Persati from Stony Brook coming. Rob is outstanding. He's a great presenter. A lot of people know him in the educational world and especially in my area. And he always does a great job with that evening. And that we have served as a great kickoff for our juniors in regards to really starting to zero in on the college application process. I mentioned updating the school profile. That's something over time I want to continue to look at as well and possibly add to. I think there's some more information that we can share on that profile that'll help just highlight our school a little bit more effectively. Every time a student applies to a college, a copy of that profile goes with the student's application. So it is an important document. In my first month or two on the job, I was finding myself being asked a lot of questions from parents about the college process, about SATs, about how do you apply to college, about the common application. So I started to try to put together some information sheets and blast those out to families. So I created one for seniors, I created one for juniors, blasted those out recently just to give families some good general information that they need to focus on. Sometimes one of the key pieces on those sheets was information about standardized testing. I don't want families to wait too long to sign up or to register for those events. So, really just trying to provide more information to families regarding questions that have come up frequently, so on and so forth. One of the other key pieces and I think really an important part for me this year, is to really focus on building and establishing relationships. And first and foremost with my counseling staff, I think if we're going to move forward, if I want to make revisions, if I want to ask them to get on board with me and make changes that may need a little bit more work on their end, I have to develop a good rapport with them first. And I have to gain their trust and respect and let them know that I'm going to support them and be there for them as I ask them to take some of these steps forward. And so far that seems to be going really, really nicely. One thing to help with that is I meet on a weekly basis with our counselors at the high school. I have a department meeting every Tuesday morning with them. And then I'm going to be using alternating Thursdays to meet with the counselors at both middle schools. So I think overall, having that frequent communication, that frequent contact is going to be helpful in establishing those relationships and building a rapport with my staff. Building those relationships goes further than that, and I don't even mention all the different people that I need to do that with here, but establishing relationships with the other directors in the district is also really important. I'm in a unique role in that really, like many of our central office administrators, I'm not just focused on guidance. I'm not just particularly dealing with the area of guidance. I'm communicating with department heads in every department and helping them to answer questions for them about curriculum-related pieces that tie in. How are the decisions that they're making going to impact our students when they're applying to college, and so on and so forth. And so establishing those relationships is really important. One example of that is next Tuesday, I'm having a joint meeting with Margaret Ronai and the business department because she acquired someone to come in and speak with our staff about the CDOT, the Career Development Occupational Studies credentials. And so that's very important for our counselors as well. So hopefully just more of a refresher for them than anything else. But that's one example of some interdepartmental things that are going to be taking place. Let's see. Sorry, just lost my place. Another item that we're really starting to focus on now, believe it or not, and really starting to prepare for next year already, is our scheduling process and our timeline for scheduling. You know, there were some items brought to my attention right as I started the school year, and that's something that we're working on right now, taking a look at. I'm having conversations about those things, and I'm hoping to make some subtle revisions to the process that is going to make that whole process work a little more smoothly, a little more effectively. Do a better job at making sure that parents have the information that they need and that there's support available on our end when people have questions and so on. So, that's a work in progress, but something I'm definitely going to be working on and focusing on. Every year, our juniors get training in method test prep. That's actually going to be taking place next week. And through method test prep, our students can get preparation for the ACT or the SAT. It's an online piece that's available to our students, and they can access it through our NAMIAMS program. And we're going to have someone from Method Test Prep working with our students through English classes next week to show them how to utilize that system and take advantage of what it has available. One of the key things that I need to be focusing on this year is our new school counseling, the new school counseling regulations that were introduced by New York State. Those go into effect next year for the 1920 school year. One of the key pieces to those new school counseling regulations is our K-12 district counseling plan. So fortunately, the district had started working on that before I came on board. But when I walked in, a committee was established or set up. I stepped right in on day one of that committee and really kind of took it over from there and worked with the committee to really put together the crux of our plan. And now I'm going through the process of sharing it out with all different invested stakeholders who are listed in the plan, who have a part in the plan, to get their feedback and input. So that involves communication with all the school counselors in the district, all the psychologists, all the social workers, all the district, or the building principals, elementary through high school. And well, it's great for me because it helps me to get to know more people and communicate with more people. It's also good to have them involved in the process, providing me with input. It's not something I can do all on my own. I need the support of other people in the district to put this plan together and ultimately have it be a working, functioning plan that actually means something. And that's going to take some time. We're under the gun right now to get it done this year. And as time goes on, it will be a living, breathing document that we continue to work on and enhance and really reflect all the good things that we're currently doing in the district. Collaboration with elementary schools, that I just kind of referenced that in the work I'm doing with elementary principals. Believe it or not, again, as part of the scheduling process, one of the first things you do in the scheduling process is put together your course guide for next year. So I really got to get going on that right away. And I'll be working again with all the department heads to put our course guide together, to review, to look at any changes that we need to make to that course guide for next year. That'll involve discussions about any new courses and new course offerings that we want to have available. We'll also put together, probably right in the beginning of December, I'll put together a day where I invite all the department heads to come in, sit down with our counselors, and talk to our counselors about the changes that are taking place in each department. It's very important for our counselors to be aware and know about these changes so then they can communicate that effectively with the students when they're meeting with them individually to discuss their schedules for the next school year. right now, this month is a very busy month in regards to standardized exams. So currently, in the course of a month, I'm conducting 4 major testing administrations. So we had the SATs last Saturday, we have the PSATs this Saturday, October 27th, we have an ACT administration, and right after that, there's another SAT the first week in November. So a tremendous amount of time, coordination, and planning goes into that, acquiring proctors, setting everything up so we can have a successful test administration for our students. And really, other than the PSAT for those other exams, we also have many students coming in from other districts that take the test as well. So, you know, we tested about 280 kids last Saturday. I'm going to be testing about 350 students this coming Saturday. And so some of these administrations are quite large and sometimes a little challenging, to be honest with you, to make sure we have the right staff and get enough staff members in place to be able to support the administration of this exam. Or each exam. One other thing that I've been spending some time on is focusing on our college partnerships. So we have a great partnership with Suffolk Community College. There are 2 different programs that our students can participate in. The Beacon program, which used to be known as the Excelsior program, but they changed the name of that due to the introduction of the Excelsior Scholarship from New York State, and also the Early College program. Both programs provide our students with an opportunity to earn college credit while still in high school. Obviously, a beneficial thing for our students. They're able to do that at a significantly reduced fee, and it really helps them to get a leg up once they're applying to college and attending college. Well, it helps them in the application process, and then it also helps them once they're in college. Hopefully, our students come in with a bunch of credits, can potentially graduate maybe in a shorter period of time than they normally would have. And to me, that's an important thing. Only about 36% of all students graduate college in 4 years. So the more of our students going in with college credit ahead of time, the better their chances are of getting through in 4 years. And if the college accepts those credits, and you know, I'll tell you that colleges have pretty good policies. It differs from college to college. A lot of colleges will accept credit. Some will only accept them as elective credit and so on. But I still think it's helpful to our students a lot of times because, you know, I think, in my opinion, and really more my opinion than anything else, I think a lot of our students, or a lot of students, when you look at that 36% number, I think a lot of that's because students are changing their mind, changing majors, doing different things like that. If our students have the opportunity to explore some different things early on and have some credits under their belt initially that might not be in their major or whatever the case might be, it's still going to help them and provide them with an opportunity to hopefully get through college in that shorter period, or in the 4-year. The goal is 4 years, although many more students are graduating now in 5 or 6 years. And the last thing that I just wanted to mention to you in regards to things that I'm focusing on right now are the new mental health guidelines that were introduced by New York State. Honestly, I just became familiar with those, or was just becoming familiar with those guidelines. They were just released recently, I think sometime over the summer or at the end of the school year. And you know, I am working with some of the other administrators in the district to review these guidelines and to hopefully look at them and try to make some decisions or some recommendations about how we want to move forward with the district, as a district, to make sure that we're taking advantage of these guidelines and that our students are getting the supports that they need to ultimately not just be good students, but to be, you know, healthy from a mental and physical standpoint as well. So, you know, the last thing I wanted to just share with you is, you know, one of our upcoming nights. I mentioned earlier the College Athletic Recruiting Night. The gentleman that's presenting is Mark Leanweaver. As I mentioned, he works for, his company is called Perfect Placement. You know, as I said, he's going to focus on recruiting tips, the reality of college sports, and helping students to find the right fit. One thing that I like, and anytime I see someone speak on this topic, the importance of finding the right fit. Students should not be focused on where am I going to go to play Division I lacrosse. They need to focus on what's going to be the right college for me academically that also has a sport that I'm really interested in playing in college. Because there is a very high percentage of students who go on to college and then don't continue playing athletics for all 4 years. And if you're going to be one of those people, you better be happy with the college that you selected from an academic standpoint. Otherwise, you're going to be looking to transfer, and there we go. We have another reason why a student might not have graduated in 4 years. So, you know, So that pretty much wraps it up. Those are the things that I've been working on over the first couple of months that I've been here. And at this point, I'll turn it over to you for any questions that you have.
Well, we have questions, but I'll let emails first.
Yeah, I only have one. You talked a lot about all your other areas of focus. You did mention a business connection, but what I didn't hear a lot of was career. So like strengthening our BOCES connection, trade schools, that kind of thing. I know at BOCES, my son went to their STEM high school program and they had a manufacturing day. He happens to go to he went to college and he's doing engineering, but their manufacturing day was, they went to Cressy Park, Alkin, places like that, where there was automation and engineering and robotics. Any future plans on that for the BOCES connection?
I will tell you that that's something Ms. Rowe and I we've started to have some conversations about it. We need to continue to have more conversations about some of those career-related opportunities for our students. I definitely support and encourage our students to enroll in the BOCES programs that we have available. I know our counselors speak highly about those programs that we have available as well. Career exploration is an important piece, and while I didn't really focus on it with Naviance has a lot of good pieces that pertain to career exploration as well. It's one of the things that I've been talking with our middle school counselors a lot about in regards to utilizing Naviance more effectively at that level. There are some good career pieces that we can utilize in Naviance, especially at the 7th and 8th grade level, to help it not only get our students using Naviance, but becoming more familiar with careers. And really, whether a student's going to pursue college or not, the first steps in that process a lot of times do focus on careers and focus on career exploration, and then using that information to determine, okay, this is an area I'm interested in, these are the things I like to do, as that pertaining to a college major and then ultimately the college that I want to apply to. And then for those students that aren't interested in going in that direction, really looking at, okay, what types of vocational programs are available for our students out there, how do we expose our students to those different pieces. So I will tell you that that's probably an area that a lot of high schools need work on. I can tell you each high school I've been in, that's an area that I would say we could probably have spent a little more time and attention on.
I'd like to see that here.
I'm definitely interested in working on those pieces. Trying to take it one step at a time.
I know you do, I know.
But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think it definitely is an important component to our program.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was at the college night and I was kind of disappointed, and I'm hoping in future years there will be more expansion of colleges present. I would have liked to see NYU there. I would have liked to see Rutgers there, Penn State. I mean, obviously, you know our track record of students who graduated from here, been at Harvard, and MIT. I'm sure you know that we have caliber of students that can definitely be marketed to these types of schools. So, can we get more outreach schools there?
I mean, we can definitely try. I can tell you that, again, being in a bunch of different districts, I felt like our turnout was pretty good. We probably had about 130 or so colleges there. That's a good turnout, I will say. And I hear what you're saying about the different levels of colleges that you want to have present. I do think we did have some higher level colleges present. Some of it's not, well, we can invite and we can encourage people to attend. It's really decisions that those schools are making, and I can't control that fully. But we can definitely make sure that they're being invited and included, and I would love to get more of them present. But even if they're not at our fair, we do have some of those colleges also coming in and meeting with our students on an individual basis, because we do have a long list of colleges that do come in during the school day, and students can sign up to come in and meet with those schools as well. So yeah, I would love to have them here. I would love to, I'm not in full control of that. Some over years, depending on the year, you see some things change over time also. Sometimes colleges are tightening up their budget, so they're not traveling as much. You run into other issues where, it's one of the reasons why our college night had to change this year in the first place, because another school had a fair on the same night, and then sometimes those representatives have to make a decision as to which fair they're going to go to or going to attend. And so, there are some variables that come into play, but yeah, I agree with you. I would love to have all top schools there, as well as varying levels of schools, because we need to support all of our students.
Absolutely. Now, you talked about the Naviance program. Now, are you trying to get our ninth graders in, become familiar with the Naviance program?
Yes. Historically, and even in my past districts, historically, the focus or the students utilizing Naviance are going to be more traditionally going to be your juniors and your seniors. But yes, would I like our 9th graders to start to utilize it? Would I like our 10th graders to start to utilize it more? Most definitely. When I did those workshops, I invited families, grades, I invited middle school and high school families to come. I set everything up in Naviance for the middle school levels. So even at that point in time, if parents want to start to utilize it or students want to start to utilize it, we can give them their access information and they can begin to do that. So yes, the sooner families are utilizing it, the better. I can tell you that it is a little bit of a battle, to challenge to get families at those earlier levels to utilize it because it's just not as pertinent to them at that point in time. But yeah, I would love to see that.
Now, as far as your senior class, what percentage of students have signed on to the Naviance?
I had, well, signed on, a very high percentage. When I looked at the list of students that haven't registered, I don't remember exactly, but it was less than a sheet of paper, the names of students that were on that list that don't have an account. Because during their junior year, historically, in the past, the counselors have gotten those students registered, or 10th and 11th grade have gotten them registered and onto the system.
What are you doing about what are you doing about the parents who don't want, because I know once you start on Naviance, you start getting mail at home. All these colleges and from 10th grade on.
Generally speaking, it's not Naviance that does that. Where that happens is students check a box that they want to participate in the student search service on the PSATs, and that's what generates those mails.
So I know a lot of parents don't go on Naviance for that because they think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, definitely not
Yes.
Naviance.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It definitely answered a lot of my questions.
Good.
So I don't have any action, but thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Are we cool? Sure. My guess, and I don't know the answer to this, honestly, but I'm pretty certain that we extend those invitations pretty far and wide. Of course, the schools that are further away are going to be less likely to necessarily travel or send their representative. You get different things at these fairs too, okay? Sometimes you're going to have true admissions representatives who are working for the college and they're actually reviewing your applications. Then you also a lot of times will have area representatives. So when you talk about a school that might be off in the distance, a lot of times the person that's standing behind that table at the night of the college fair is an alumni rep that's there and volunteering their time to come and talk to students. Not that that's a bad thing, that's a good thing. Do they have as much knowledge and understanding of the school as the admissions representative would? Not necessarily, but it definitely can be helpful in that piece. So definitely something I can inquire about. My guess is that we do go pretty far in our reach in regards to inviting colleges. And just speaking from past experience too, I will tell you this. Me being where I've been, doing this, being a director of guidance for 11 years, I will tell you that I felt pretty good about who we had there that evening.
And there were a lot of colleges that would have liked to see
Sure.
a little bit more out of cities.
Most definitely.
A little bit further picture to see a different perspective.
Look, one thing that I'm always encouraging is that we continue to look to expand the schools that our students are applying to, okay? So, I'm not sure what it is here, but in the past, maybe we've applied to, our seniors will apply to about maybe 300 different colleges, okay? One of the things that I like to do is to try to keep pushing that envelope to expand that, because once we start doing that, now it's going to give our students a little bit of a leg up in regards to being accepted at those other colleges. Like, for example, you could take a school like the College of the Mines that's out in Colorado. Not a lot of people know about that college here on the East Coast. It's one of the best engineering colleges in the country. And if our students here on the East Coast are applying from Connecticut High School or applying to that college, they're definitely going to have a better chance of being accepted than the student applying to the College of the Mines in Colorado, okay? So I definitely hear you, and I support that, and want to continue to push our counselors to expand their reach. And the more colleges that we can get coming in here to meet with our kids, the better off we're going to be. No argument with me. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Mr. John Allen, you're up.
That's up there, we can leave it up there.
Yeah.
We can wait on that one, the invitation for the first part. You want to pull that? So before I really start talking about any of the facility long-term planning, I just want to take a moment and thank the custodial, the grounds, and the maintenance staff who stepped up this past weekend. We had approximately 30 individuals who facilitated and helped in the process down at OBMS this weekend. And there's absolutely no way it would have been possible without all of their help. So for that, I'd really like to say publicly thank you to all of them. So there's two things that I want to touch on real quickly from the Board of Education and get a little bit of feedback from them. I gave out a document before we started tonight about two different companies who presented documentation for us to review for energy performance contracts. The first one was from Ecosystems. It's on the first page of the two documents I gave you. It has 13 separate measures. They came in over the course of 2 months over the summer, reviewed the entire infrastructure from lighting to mechanical systems to the potential for solar energy in each and every one of our buildings. They came up with a series of proposals that they feel could be paid off without any cost to the taxpayer. So that is one of those things that, we're going to have to dig a little deeper. We're going to have to interview different respondents and make a determination if there's a proposal that we feel is beneficial to the district and satisfies not only short-term but long-term needs as well. The other proposal we ended up getting was from Johnson Controls. I know that Johnson Controls at times has a negative connotation in this district, but I need to emphasize the fact that that should not be the case. The previous energy performance contract that we did back in 2009 was done by an engineering firm. They chose not to respond to this request for proposal, but the company that they utilized for a lot of the implementation of their measures was Johnson Controls. So they were a subcontractor to the engineering firm that last was awarded an energy performance contract. What I'm asking the board to consider is to bring one of those, if not both of those companies in to do a presentation so that we can ask them some questions, make a determination whether or not their proposals are worthwhile for further consideration, and then fine-tune those proposals in order to go forward with some sort of proposal.
So John, can you elaborate more on the Johnson Control? Before I came on this board, it did, as you said, have that negative connotation to it. How do you change their minds? Because when you and I first spoke about it, I'm like, I don't even know how you're going to sell that to the public.
Sure. One of the major components of the energy performance contract back in 2009, aside from lighting and aside from some of the other low-hanging fruit, was a changeover of the BMS system, meaning the building management system. The proposal from the engineering firm at that time was to go with a product that Johnson Controls made, and it was called the Metasys control system. That Metasys control system is a sole proprietor system. In other words, it comes at a discounted rate because it has to come with a maintenance contract, and only Johnson-approved representatives can work on it. There are other products that are available. In fact, in the 2014 project, we used a Johnson Control product to replace a lot of that equipment. It is not a proprietary piece of equipment. We can use any number of vendors to do that control work, so we have a lot more functionality and capabilities with it. In the right setting, the other equipment works. It did not work for this district. So,
was it compatibility, or it was just?
It was the maintenance piece of it, as well as a limited number of contractors who are certified to work on it. We would make a call to Johnson Control to have them come out and send a service rep to work on the medicine system. They would come out, they would diagnose it, and then they would go back to their office and make a proposal, and it could be several weeks, if not months, before you could actually get the work done. With the current control system that we have, we pick up the phone, we make a call, we can have those parts almost always the same day.
So is there any connection to the boiler system at the high school? Because again, it was before my time, but people associated that.
Sure, everything ties back to the boiler. When you start talking about heating and ventilation, I mean, I shouldn't say everything, but a large majority of things tie back to the boiler system. There's obviously a whole lot of equipment from the boiler system out into the individual spaces in the classrooms, and the ability to control each one of those items is really where the BMS system, the building management system, has its value. Being able to control the temperature on the north side of the building versus the south side, to be able to start it at 6 o'clock versus 8 o'clock. Having that functionality, having that control is really where the savings are generated. When you have a system that is not communicating with those end user type of people, that's when you start running into the problems that we were experiencing.
I'm sure Ed will have a lot of questions about this later.
Well, and the real question is, at what point do we feel comfortable enough, or do we feel comfortable enough to entertain another energy performance contract and bring those vendors in for an interview? Either or, one or the other. It's up to the board at this point. So,
What's the difference between these two and the energy performance contract that was voted in with the last board?
well, there's definitely different measures. The things that they chose to do, the items that they felt would provide energy savings back then are different than the measures now.
Well, this was only a few years, not the one from 2009, the one that was just voted in, the one that we have a...
So that was a totally different project.
Right, so what is that?
2014 capital project.
Yes, what is that?
Is not necessarily based on energy performance. So there's not necessarily savings that could be obtained by doing these things. The reason why we had to do we can't do an energy performance contract for things that don't generate savings, like a parking lot, like tennis courts. So this is specifically items that can be offset by the savings that they generate. So if you put a new boiler, it costs you $1 million for the boiler, and there's $100,000 savings over the life of that boiler, or the life of the debt, which is 15 years, you need to be able to show enough savings to offset the cost of that boiler. That's not the case for a regular capital project.
So the one that we just hired, where we hired someone from the district, or that company?
The 2014 project, I'm not sure I told you.
No, which is the one where it costs the district nothing, and they have a person going around to all our buildings.
That's totally, that's
okay, so
energy.
That's what I want to know. What's that difference to these?
So that's an energy management. That's changing the culture. That's getting people to turn off lights. That's learning how to adjust the system so that instead of setting air conditioners to 60 degrees and potentially leaving doors open, we set the air conditioners to 70 degrees and we close doors. It's changing the culture. Instead of leaving lights on in the gym at 11 o'clock, it's making sure they get turned off at 11 o'clock. So that's changing of the culture. I can actually run reports for that and show you, since they started with the district, where the savings are building by building, based upon utility usage.
So now these, I noticed, had a lot of solar panel.
One of the proposals, Johnson Controls, shows a 3.75 megawatt solar system throughout the district, with the only exception being Duffield. Based on the configuration of the roof at Duffield and the tree line, they didn't feel like there would be energy savings to offset the cost of the panels there, but all the other buildings are candidates for solar panels.
So suppose we went with that and we were going to get savings, how would that affect that other contract that we just talked about? Because there's a baseline there.
Sure, and when we first signed on with Synergistic, and we went through that.
Synergistic, thank you.
When we first signed on with them, they were aware that we were looking at an energy performance. We explained that to them. It's going to shift the baseline, but it doesn't change the end result. So we could change all the equipment. We have lights in this room that if we change them to LEDs would lessen the overall usage. That doesn't mean that by changing the culture we can still not further lessen that saving or further increase that saving.
So for some of those things, like changing the light bulbs out,
yep.
We need an energy performance contract to do that, or we can just do that on our own?
So if you look at some of the numbers that we're talking about, Johnson Controls is talking about over 13,000 light fixtures. The time that it would take for us as a district to do that, it would take us years, if decades at this rate. The problem is most of our maintenance mechanics work from 7 o'clock to 3:30 during the school day. We don't have maintenance mechanics who work after the school day is over.
Could change a light bulb?
It's not changing the light bulb, it's changing the valves, it's changing the fixture. It's so much more than just changing the light bulb.
Oh, all right.
It's not,
Because the way I read it was, I mean, in my house, I know we went from regular bulbs to LED bulbs. We just screwed them, screwed the new ones in.
that's not the way it works in these types of.
Well, we have some of these lighting in my house as well, and we just
Yep.
changed them to LED bulbs.
And this is, but there's also a way to change the valves and everything else to further increase the savings. So it's not as simple as changing.
But you could.
In some cases, you can, but not, certainly
Not all of it.
You know, if you go into the auditoriums and you look at the high hat light,
No, right.
we've been changing those.
Right.
Instead of using the old metal halide lights that throw off a lot of heat, they use a lot of energy.
Right.
We've been changing those to LEDs.
Okay.
But when it comes to changing out, general classroom lights and going with LEDs, it's a totally different animal. We did about 1,000 light fixtures in the 2014 project when we changed ceiling tiles out, and the difference is night and day. It truly is. And the savings and rebates, a $100 fixture with the rebates costs approximately $25 to $30 at this point. Not to mention the fact that we don't have to touch it for 5 to, depending on the quality of the light bulb, 10,000 burn hours, 20,000 burn hours, as opposed to the current fluorescent lights where you could be changing them out every 2 years. So not only are you saving on utility costs, but you're also saving on your maintenance costs as well.
Gotcha.
So you provided figures and projected costs and so forth, so I should really be having these questions for Johnson Controls when they come out.
Yeah, and as you well know, we've been extremely busy in the plant facility department for the last several weeks.
No, you haven't.
So I apologize for not having the time to sit down with Sharon Donnelly to go over the numbers. In their proposals, in both Ecosystems and Johnson Controls, they both provided financial backing as to how they get to the numbers. We have to go through those numbers, we have to do our due diligence. We haven't done it as yet, and it absolutely has to happen before we award anything, but the reason why it's important to have this conversation now is because I'm also going to be asking the board to make a decision moving forward about the capital project that the community has been talking about for over a year and a half at this point. So there are some items in the energy performance scope of work that could change the scope of work for the capital project as well.
Okay, so now that you spoke about the capital project, what is your hopeful timeline
For a capital,
for the one that we've been discussing for a year and a half?
yeah, so the large project, the one that's approximately $46 million as it came out of the facility committee. We have to go through a series of steps. One, getting board approval first and foremost, then we have to work from there and start working with timelines. Just like a budget, you have to post it a certain number of times, you have to have lead times and everything else. I think the realistic time frame would be somewhere around 3 months once the board approves it. I have a feeling that the scope of work is going to be tweaked a little bit here and there, but we still need to start that process and move forward and actually pick a date and start thinking about when we're going to do it. Because if we don't, every single time, every single month, we don't move forward, we lose the opportunity.
So why don't you give the board what you would like to see February as going out to a community vote?
I would love to be able to have approval from the Board of Education at the next meeting, do it as the approval item. And then at that point, in between now and then, I'll work with the architect to figure out exactly what that looks like as far as a community vote.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a hypothetical. Say we get it out to the community by February. The time frame of SED to approve?
So we're going to have to take a look at each individual component of the project. There is a process by which you're allowed to, instead of going through the SED approval, which is over a year approval for each individual set of plans to go up there, you can do a third-party review, which has scaled the project's review time down to 2.5 to 3 months. So there are certain items that don't involve multiple trades. So if I don't have to deal with an electrician, a plumber, HVAC,
Okay, so say for the playgrounds, for example.
Playgrounds would be something that we very well might be able to do that this summer. If we were to get approval in the winter, there's a good chance we could do them over the summer, something like that. There's no other trades involved. playgrounds are something that are already on a fully vetted contract, whether it be through the town of Islip, the town of Brookhaven, or somebody else. So somebody has already done the due diligence as far as figuring out the competitive pricing. So there's a good chance we could do stuff like that in the summer.
Okay, so
It
in
is-
the hypothetical world, if you know, I'm anxious about the auditorium at the middle schools and at the high school.
Those would be longer. I cannot imagine that we'd be able to do that over the summer, the following, the immediate summer,
Is
4
the
months
following
later.
that we could break ground, maybe?
The following year, 18 months away, absolutely, without a doubt. What we would have to do as a Board of Education and as administration is we'd have to look at that entire scope of work though, take a look at each individual building and roll it work out in phases to try to get, $40–45 million worth of work done in 10 weeks is not going to happen.
No.
So we're going to have to prioritize, we're going to have to figure out collectively what becomes phase 1, 2, and potentially 4.
So when you do go out to the public to market, are you, like, for example, with the 2 auditoriums and the high school, are you going to bring some type of schematic or some, so a visual so that people can see?
Yeah, so one of the things that happens with the capital project is the architect doesn't make a penny until the voters approve something. So all the time that he has spent up to this point working with the district and trying to fine tune it, giving us some basic cost estimates and everything else, he's doing that in anticipation of an approved capital project. I mean, that's the investment that he makes. As we fine tune it, as we get, a community approval, it then shifts and everything else. But until we get community support and approval, he's still not getting paid. So if we go to the community and we don't get an approved project, he's not getting paid. So he's not going to
So
spend.
could he furnish the public with some of his prior work?
Without a doubt.
Okay, so I think that would be a nice, at least that they'll see his
Sure.
works.
Yep, and one of the things that I really appreciate about our current architect is he won't make any decisions without talking to the staff that are most impacted by the use of these spaces. So I know he's already had lots of conversations with the music department. He's gotten ideas from them as to how they would like to see it, how they could best utilize the spaces that he was given to them. He's spoken to special ed staff to figure out how to redesign some of the rooms that we have in the scope of work. That's going to be the process all along, but as far as presenting what he's done in other locations to see the idea, the quality, the concepts, absolutely. He did provide a lot of that information to the facility committee as a starting point, and I'm sure it would be very easy to do that for larger presentations as well.
So you want us to vote on this next meeting?
Yeah, it's not on the agenda right now, but I was hoping that if there were any questions, one, I could answer them as quickly and as upfront as possible so there wouldn't be as much confusion at the next meeting.
So, all right, so then I do have some questions.
Okay?
So I thought this was going to be added as a discussion item next time, but I guess not. So at OVMS, you have the athletic field reconstruction, a significant cost. We know, and I see the scope of the work, but is there a guarantee that that will fix the issue? Can we get a guarantee, like in writing, that that's going to fix the issue? I hate to spend that much money to find out that it didn't work.
I will definitively ask that question to the architect because he has had experience doing this process in other fields and eliminating moisture and shedding moisture from fields. We could find out what those schools are, what they've done, what their level of pleasure is, what their level of success has been in those locations. Absolutely.
Because I want our money back if it doesn't work. Okay. I have more questions.
I had a question. When I was reading the scope of work on the 2 middle schools, that would include from top to bottom, side to side, right?
For the auditoriums?
Yeah, do I assume it's a gut? Because it didn't particularly say a gut. Do I assume a gut?
So we're going to have to make some decisions as we go forward. I mean, we have numbers in the proposal as a placeholder. Nothing is written in stone. Ultimately, as we get further along, we're going to develop it according to the conversations with the staff and everything else. Some of the work we've undertaken in the past week is removal of the carpet. We've done a large work down there. We're looking into the ventilation system down there right now. So we're making changes now that are going to allow us to shift some of that differently. I would think that the biggest problems down there right now are a heating and ventilation system that includes air conditioning. That's been discussed multiple times, as well as trying to do something acoustically. If you look at the price for the OBMS and Algonquin versus the high school, I have a feeling we're going to be able to do everything soup to nuts, including lighting, sound, and all the ventilation
Hey,
possibly.
John, that was the other question I had. So one school you're doing expansion on the stage, but not the other one, the middle school.
Well, I think maybe it's not written well, and I had to go back and I apologize for not having brushed up on it beforehand. Up at Ronkonkoma several years ago, the stage was expanded. It wasn't necessarily expanded to code. It's done very well, and it's been very functional. But in order to do it and to get SCD approval to go in there and review the entire space and get the state aid that's so important to doing this, we need to make sure that everything's to code. So I'll go back and check the language, but it would mean doing both stages comparable and doing it to code.
On the high school, the construction of a new field house.
Yes.
About $500,000. Right now we have Porta Labs there, right? And that would eliminate those. That's what this says.
So currently we have Porta Sands in the front of the concession, regular concessions and everything else. There's been a proposal that was vetted out with the committee that talked about a field house. That would be bathrooms, men and women's bathrooms, and I believe the location that they were looking at would be actually on the other side of the football field, closer to the visitor bleachers, so that it would be more centrally located to all the fields in there.
Right, so here's my question right now. Right now, we don't pay for those porta potty things, right? The whatever group has them, pays for them?
Correct.
So then, if we build this, not only would we have to maintain it, we'd also have to pay our staff to clean it as well, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right, for the purpose of the additional suggestion, they said, to its right question, is we can lock the doors to the school, so people will be using the field as we go into the school.
Well, we do that now, we lock the doors now.
Well, that's what we were told, that
You get it?
will be locked.
Well, the school is locked and they use the porta potties,
Is the school gonna lock?
but we don't pay for it.
You're asking the wrong person. I do know, I will tell you that in the last 6 weeks, I've heard about multiple events taking place in the fields, and that the doors in the back of the school were absolutely locked. I've heard that multiple times. I personally haven't been up there for those events, so I can't speak to that.
The other thing that I want is the varsity baseball field. I want to know that we have a warranty on that as well, because it's another drainage thing, and if it doesn't work, it's not a lot of money, but it's a significant amount for that warranty. I mean, if it doesn't work, I don't want to pay for something that doesn't work.
I was under the impression that all the work is guaranteed.
Well, I was just going to say that. So usually for materials, it's a year, and for labor, it's 2 years.
Materials and labor, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like it's a 20-year guarantee or a 10-year guarantee.
Well,
I mean, that's typical when it comes to labor. If we were to buy a product like a gym floor like we did down in Idle Hour, we get the manufacturer warranty is longer, but in most cases it's just the simple 1-year warranty plus.
So it could work for a year. They could do the simple fix could work for a year, and then we could get a big rainstorm, and then we just wash that money away.
Or maybe it's going to be 10 times better than it ever would.
Could be, right.
So
right.
I mean, there's a
But
certain.
will they warranty that further than the standard warranty?
We can ask, and I don't know exactly what the architect's going to say. Like anything else in this world, I believe that you can get anything you want as long as you're willing to pay for it. So if you sit there and say you want a 10-year warranty on the overall condition of that field, the contractor may not respond to it unless they can charge an additional 20%.
So I'd like to know what if they've done that work before, like what the time period is.
Absolutely.
For that kind of work then. If it can't be a written warranty or guarantee, then how long does that last? Like we redo all these, OBMS and the varsity field, I want it to be nice for quite some time. I don't want
I never want to have to do it again.
Right.
I promise you that.
Right.
Absolutely.
So then my other question is, right now, I know you guys talked about the maintenance building and the sand salt shed that we currently house at the high school.
Correct.
And that's a big ticket item. That's $2.6 million, almost $2.7 million.
It is.
So my question is this, on some of these big ticket items, what if the community would, I mean, we're gonna market this or put it out there as a full $46 million bond? So if it could fail and then we don't get any of the actually needed repairs, was there any consideration to doing a second bond that takes out some of those big ticket items and does it separately so that we?
That is why I've been presented to the board multiple times over the past year. That's going to be up to the board to make those determinations. In particular, you want to talk about the maintenance shed.
Well, that's one of them, but the
It
other.
is, but it's a great point, and it was well vetted between 10, 12, 15 people at various meetings, representing a cross-section of the community. I don't know if anybody follows the news and has looked at what happened over at Northport Middle School. Northport Middle School had a 55-gallon drum of chemical cleaners in their basement. It spilled over. They shut down half the building. To date, I think the building is still shut down, half the building.
But we're talking about sand and salt now.
Okay, so 4 years ago, when we had 12 inches of rain right before I got here, and it flooded that basement, so there was about 4 feet of standing water through that entire basement. And we had oil, we had gasoline, we had paint, we had lime, we had 60 yards of sand salt.
Right, but I know Mark brought up a point while we were standing out there, so I just want to bring that up here. When was the last time that happened, that flooded? And you said about 20 years before that.
So there's a mark on the wall inside, and I think it's from the 80s, when the last time they had flooding of that height. I don't have a crystal ball.
So I'm just saying, what if the public says, does $2.7 million, is that worth 20 years of?
So I'm going to tell you, ultimately, that's where the Board of Education has to make some decisions. The facility committee went back and forth. We discussed a lot of these items. We had the majority of items, the items has majority approval to stay on the item, on the list as it is. Ultimately, it's going to be up for yourself.
I'm just afraid that if, you put it out $46 million and then people see these prices, there's some big ticket items in here and they say, well, I would have approved it except for, and then they say, no, we have a backup plan.
Well, and here's the simple answer is not until we come up with one, or not until collectively we come up with one. No, we don't have a backup plan. The only thing I can speak to as far as the financial side of it, 2 years ago we created a capital reserve in the amount of $9.5 million. Right. That amount is fully funded. The school district receives 67% state aid, so that equates to...
How long does that take to get?
If you time the borrowing with the construction, it can correspond, go side by side.
Okay.
So that equates to about $27.5 million of purchasing power because of the state aid ratio that we get. Additionally, in the year 2021, we have $20 million of debt service coming off the books. So while it's not going to decrease the taxpayers, this project could be done as it exists without an increase in taxpayers.
Because we already budgeted in the bond.
Because it's already being paid for.
Right.
Because
We just continue it on. Right.
Right. So it's just rolling.
We already have the budget line for bonds.
Correct.
We just continue it on to their.
Right. But those are the conversations, and this is the reason why we keep getting bogged down and we don't get any further along, because I can only present the information that the committee, and I don't know how to get any further than this. So here I am again.
Okay.
Any questions?
All right. That's it. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Moving on to public comment. The section of the agenda gives the Board of Education an opportunity to recognize persons who wish to raise a pointer to make a brief statement on agenda matters only. All topics will be recognized as time follows. The time available will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Please comment. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters. Hello.
I have a few things to say, but quick question. You talked about this field house thing, and my question was the cost of cleanup. I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
The cost to clean up a spill in the event of having to do that, and does our insurance cover it? Or we have liability for having that stuff located where it currently is? You know, is it safe? Is it customary to do that? Those are just my questions. And what does it cost to do a spill or a cleanup if you have chemicals or products in that situation and the hazard to?
So I couldn't tell you definitively, only because 4 years ago when we did have a spill, it was an insurance claim. But if there's a continuing issue over and over again, I don't know how the insurance company would respond.
Okay. Yeah, that was in on that. Okay, I'd like to speak about, I heard that they're looking to change the freshman awareness weekend. And my daughter's a freshman in college, and I thought she's just fresh out. And I asked her about her impression about this. And being at a college that really promotes unity and getting kids connected right away, because her school does it really well, this freshman awareness did it really well to get her connected when she started school here at Connect Live. You know, it was a very good experience. Something about staying overnight with other kids, and having all the different programs, but having that overnight and just, as you go to sleep talking about stuff or talking about happened. She said it really helped her bond. She said she interacted with kids that she wouldn't necessarily have thought to interact with. And, when you're coming from melding two schools together, it was really good to get to meet other people, because what happens is you go in, you're thrown into classes, and you can get so focused on that, but it really was very helpful. She was hesitant. I sort of had to tell her she had to go to this thing. And she came out really loving the experience. And, as parents have shared, that a lot of that's been said. Sometimes we have to push our kids out and go try it once they get into the experience. But I think it's really important. I think that we don't do a lot of things right in schools, and we make mistakes, but this is one really good thing. And overnight makes a difference. It's like being in the dorm, hanging out and talking to your roommate when you first move in. It's like that kind of experience, and it builds relationships. When people say my relationships in college were better than my high school and that they last forever, this is why. And I think that it's a very important thing to get kids connected. We talk about all the reasons why kids are in trouble and why there's disagreements or whatever, but the more you get them connected, the more important, the better it is. I just want to, I think that, I'm hearing that it's a short night. It will not accomplish the same thing. Again, that overnight experience as a group is really important. She almost said everybody should have to do it. There's certain things you have to do in life, and that every kid should have to participate. If you can't do that, but it's just such a good thing. I'm just, I'm wondering why it was shortened, what the reasons were. Anybody?
Would you like to address that, Dr. Adams? Do you have any information on that?
Well, I know that was changed. I don't have any reasons behind it, so I couldn't really answer that right now.
It would be nice to find out. Yeah. Only speaking because I have, a lot of us have kids that have gone through it, and anybody that has heard about the change in the format has said that that part of the staying overnight as a group is important. Anytime they're as a group, band camp, going on a trip, kids come away more connected to school and more connected to each other, and it's an important for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple of things. I'll talk really quick because I want to get through a couple of things. Restorative justice, we discussed it last time. Did we find out what happens to those packets? Do they have a plan for it? Are they still not sure?
We don't have a person yet, so we have no plan at this moment. So I don't have the answer for that.
So, but are they already starting the restorative justice program?
No, because the person we wanted to hire applied to our
offer. Okay. All right, so before we hire somebody, though, we need to have a plan in place as to what we're doing with this information. We can't have that coming back. All right, that was another thing. Freshman awareness, I'm going to touch on. I just want to let you know, I did send an email to the building principal asking for clarification as to why the event was changed. Still, at this time, I haven't received a response yet. I'm confident, though, that he will respond, or I'll just keep emailing and calling. Big about freshman awareness, which I think is so important, is the mental health issue that we are facing with our youth these days. We seem to have a lot of problems. I've certainly been in the news for quite a few things, and I would like to see us in the news for something great, and I think that we have a lot of great things. When you have events like this, it's not just a big slumber party, you have older children mentoring younger children. It creates a community, which we have in some of the elementary schools, where the older kids help the younger kids, and they feel a responsibility towards each other. So it eliminates a lot of that friction. I would dare say it eliminates a little bit of bullying as well, which does occur. And you know, it's so nice to walk down the hallway as a freshman and see an 11th grader or a 12th grader, and they're like, hey, how are you? Just that little bit can change someone's whole day. A few nice words, you know, I definitely think can turn someone's day around and maybe make them feel a little bit better. It is a big transition. I think it's a very well-run event. So it being an overnight event, there should be no reason why it can't occur as far as security. I mean, we take our children all over the world. My kid's gone out of state more times since 8th grade and with the school than he's gone with his own family. So I don't really see, unless there's some reason we're missing, you know, I really would love to see an actual reason why this isn't. I can't imagine you're going to have as much attendance that goes till midnight, because now you have little parents coming out at 12 o'clock at night to pick up their kids who might say, I can't get you at 12 o'clock at night, you know. People work, life's just different, I know. As far as scheduling, someone mentioned that there was an issue that kids who were in sports couldn't attend. Well, to be quite honest with you, my own child could not take the PSAT last year because a full sport was scheduled that morning. So I kind of think that's really important, and we didn't work on that scheduling. And you know, I mean, I would have to say that in general, I think our district has some scheduling issues. It's been going on for over 10 years now that need to be fixed. So these are things we need to be aware of. With more than just this particular event. The college night, it was fantastic. However, it was marching band practice that night, so over 200 kids are out in marching band fields. I went to the college night without my student who was going to college because I said, well, let me go look and see, get an idea. It would have been nice had my student been, my son, been able to come to that to maybe see something he might have liked. I just think, you know, the scheduling it needs to really be looked at and thought about a little bit better when we have events like that. As far as the project, Mr. Allen has presented, I know we discussed the bathrooms, the field house, and things like that. We have multiple booster clubs for almost every activity that this district has, which I'm pretty sure the number is very high. So would it be remiss of us as a district to not even ask them, would you like to contribute, or could you contribute to creating a field house, creating the bathrooms? I know that the booster clubs have mentioned in the past that one of them paid for the cameras, for the huddle and things like that. I could, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I recall hearing in one of those meetings. So we do have all these booster clubs. They do all these fundraisers, which are fantastic. I don't really know what old money goes to other than scholarship, and I would imagine the person's getting a giant scholarship based on my limited knowledge of it. But it sure would be nice if they could contribute to the betterment of the school, which is what I would think that a booster club is for, because those particular things, that's for all the children, all the sports. It's not going to be one group that's using the bathrooms, one group, you know, that's using the storage sheds. It's every group is going to have that. So maybe that's something that we can consider. Like you said, Ms. Hanako mentioned that the public's going to say you have these giant projects that are a lot of money. Maybe they don't want to vote on that, but maybe if they can see the community and their money is actually going to work that they're donating, that might be something that we can consider to, you know, downplay the, not downplay, but lower the actual cost of our district.
I'm just going to put a thought out there as far as the field house goes. Just my thought, I don't know legally or, but then would it be that people sort of take ownership to it? Well, I gave 20%
Donation, same when you donate a sign, the same when you donate a bench.
Oh, no, I see that piece of it. Does that mean that the donation I give, does that mean that I get a little more? I don't know. No, I thought there was, it's not just a bathroom, it's more of a...
No, and the thing with that too is,
It's only a bathroom. It's only a bathroom.
There's two parts.
There's a storage area
The
too.
storage area is different than the
storage.
That's why I'm a little bit afraid of the donation piece.
But even the bathroom area, every sport has to use the bathroom.
And there's two different price tags on both.
why, they go up the hill by the sink and they.
Well, there's that.
Now, I was thinking of the storage piece of it, because then if they say,
Forget about the storage piece, at least the bathrooms.
yeah.
Everybody uses the bathrooms. Nobody's gonna tell me that there's a team that's not using the bathroom. That's just not possible.
I don't use those.
I don't either. I'm too proud of that.
As far as the booster clubs paying for some of that, my first feeling is that you're just taking more from us. With, you know, with all the booster clubs asking for, they don't do half as much fundraising as they do what they hand out to the parents, which is the problem. But so I was wondering, while we're on that, did that ever, we were going to look into that and see what, let's say allowed with the booster clubs and
I
what's
did
not?
ask Dr. Hines to look into that. And 2 meetings ago, Deidre had almost a pay-for-play scenario, and I think we asked you to look into it. Is that what you're referring to, Deidre?
Yeah. We were saying about how much, the booster clubs are asking us for money. And to the point where I know especially some folks spoke up for football. They were told, don't buy this particular thing or don't pay this particular amount. You're not even going to play in the first scrimmage or game or what have you. Last week, look, this was not, we don't need to pay for our sports here. Do some fundraising for the kids out there, do your car washes and things, but,
So I did actually talk to the head coach of that specific team, and he said that that is not what happens. That they do not actually stop kids from playing in the first scrimmage if their parents have not signed up to be part of the booster club. So that's what the head coach told me.
I don't know because I'm not football, but the football parents have some real concerns with that.
So is it something, do we have any jurisdiction on speaking with the booster club? It sounds as though they're the ones that are making that.
They may be, but my coach is not making decisions based on what the booster club says. So,
Parents were saying, there was quite a few of them.
there was a couple parents saying that as well, but I talked to the head coach and I have no reason to think that he's lying to me to say that people don't play in the scrimmage if their child.
But that's what they're told. That's how they get
And that's
told.
really awful. I agree with you. And we are going to have a meeting of all of our booster clubs. In fact, within the next month or so, we'll have a meeting of everyone who asks to use our facilities to talk about the policies and what the actual rules are on facility usage, as well as there are policies that govern booster clubs and we will also teach our external groups how to use school dues, which is how we now apply for utilization of the building. So we will have a meeting once the policy is completely settled. We will have a meeting and we'll discuss all those things, along with donations, because I know a lot of booster clubs donate things that they want to put on walls, up and down, and we will have those conversations with everybody.
Sounds good. Another thing was the 3 o'clock bus, we were thinking was taken away. I'm not sure, my son hasn't tried to take it again because then he was stuck. But did we find out about if it is in fact gone and now you have to wait for the 3:55 as it was in the very beginning of school? That's what he was told.
So I apologize to Mrs. Donnelly, I believe she wasn't feeling well, but she would have had that information for you.
Okay.
So, but I will get that information to you.
And of course, the elephant in the room is the freshman awareness. I think we could go on giving a ton of reasons why it's a wonderful thing. The big question to me is why? Who makes these decisions to swipe away the 3 o'clock bus, to stop the overnight part? What goes on?
So that was a building level decision, because it's a building level function. I'm sorry. The freshman awareness was a building level decision, because that was a building level function, and I was made aware that that decision was made, but not the reason behind it. I know last year we definitely had difficulty finding chaperones to stay overnight. I don't know if that's the reason why. They definitely had faculty problems getting faculty members to stay overnight to chaperone. They absolutely did. We had to put it out numbers of times. In fact, that has not been something that...
I slept over there. There was tons of faculty there sleeping overnight. Some actually came in at midnight and did a second shift, so that they weren't there from 3 to midnight, but they were there from midnight to the next morning.
Well, we were told it was problematic. We were told it was problematic the whole entire time President awareness has happened, even in Mr. Murtha's era, where at one point Mr. Murtha actually assigned people to come in to do it. Well, I'm guessing that might be one of the parts of the reasons, but I would never, second guess it right now. I would have to find out what.
Well, for stuff that's great for the kids, we ask and ask again. We do it. Everything in that building is a big negative. You can't, can we do this? No, you can't for this reason. Can we park? No, you can't park. Just can't do it. Can't do it. Can we do freshman away? No, we can't do it. Can't get It's always a no. It's always a negative. What happened to, we're going to find a way to get this done because it's important to the kids and it's been a huge success over so many years. What sets the tone in that building?
Well, I will find out why the decision was made, because I don't know, but I do know that that is.
And at a time, you know, the day and age when we talk about all this, you know, we have to get on mental health. I would imagine the kids that are super shy and the kids that are really introverted are the ones that benefit most from that. And we're taking that away at a time when we're saying, look what we do for the kids that need to be directed. Thank you. Thank you.
Linda, is this a problem with your staff? Then I'm sure there's a million parent volunteers that could go through the training, that would go through the training, and would be happy to go through the training. I'm gonna do it and do that.
I will find out what the reason behind it was.
So if that's an option?
We've had issues.
But if they can't get the staff and that's an option, I'm sure there's a million parents that would volunteer to do that.
Also too, wonder why can't this be extended out to, is it extended out to TAs?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of TAs that did sleep over.
Very few faculty and staff are willing to stay overnight. A lot of our TAs are, I mean, if you just look at the agenda right now, how many of the people that we are recruiting that are clerics, that are TAs, that are aides, that are doing overnight things and things after school hours.
Okay, so the good question is, were you able to get an administrator to stay overnight?
An administrator?
Is that the problem?
So you can't get an admin to stay overnight?
Good question. So you said that it's a possibility that it could be that you stated that you're having trouble getting staff to stay at home.
Yeah.
Are you having trouble getting staffing for trips like the Rocking Horse trip?
Yes.
So then how come that's never been up there? I mean, that's never been a concern. I don't think we should cancel it. I mean, obviously, that's something that the kids love, absolutely not. But I don't see how why the freshmen, why the seniors would not the freshmen?
I'm guessing, and I should have guessed out loud, I apologize. Because
Well, I'm just saying, if that is indeed the concern, then, I mean, I don't think it's fair we take from one class or another. We shouldn't take from either one. They both should be able to have it, and that's something that, district-wide, maybe that's something I don't care if it's a clerical staff member or a TA, you have an adult there. We pay chaperones to sit at games, it's the same thing. So, I mean, if staffing is the issue. Well, I think, well, that's it too,
I will find out.
I appreciate it.
But we have had difficulty staffing that.
Okay, moving on to Schedule 1, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence. All in favor? And moving on to appointments, tenure salary changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there anything in Schedule 3? Okay, so moving on to financial matters. I need a motion and a second for items 2, 3, 5. Second. If you have a question, you may have to table this, gentleman. You may answer.
No, that's fine, I'm good with those.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the table?
Motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda, we have items 2 through 18. Okay, so I'm going to take a motion and a second, and we'll go to discussion. A second, and then we'll go to discussion.
Okay, so, what's number 2?
The new template that got moved up.
I don't know what that is.
It's just the resolution language, when you put something in the board doc, that's your template. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
The new agenda?
Yeah. That was like the discussion to discuss.
No, it's just the agenda, it's just the actual template.
Okay.
So by the way, I saw some of the trips our kids are going on, very cool. Very cool. Minnesota caught my eye. Lee and I were looking at the itinerary for your trip. QVC, some really good stuff here. I'm very, very happy about that. Very happy.
So I have some more facility. We still get a late
It's on the 18th, so when you take 2 out, everything's up.
Oh, I printed this at 4:40, so. Okay, right, and I realized what we did. So, we have more facilities used. I'd like to pull them and do the same thing that we did the last couple of meetings until we fix that policy. So that would be 16, 17, and 18.
So by the way, when are you and Lee going to finish with this policy?
Don't say me and Lou. We're working on it, we've been working on it diligently, we've had 3 meetings, hopefully, and we're gonna have another meeting. Well, we have another meeting Wednesday.
No.
Oh, hopefully by the next board meeting, yeah.
You're gonna do the December 3rd date?
The same December 3rd date, yes.
So they're approved until that.
Right, so if their date is after that, they're not approved.
Yeah, got it.
So they're going to amend the resolution to read that they have facilities use permission through December 3rd of 2018.
Until, right.
So it's just amended, just to,
Or until the policy is fixed, which could be sooner, whichever is sooner.
well, you're taking out of consent and you're making a motion to amend that.
Right.
Section. And then you're going to vote on it separately?
Yes.
Okay.
So, through.
Through 15.
Okay, 2 through 15.
Motion?
Okay, okay, so we're gonna do a motion to pull those 3 last items.
Yes.
And we'll take it for a separate vote.
Right, so I motion.
So you're motioning to pull and
Those 3,
amend?
yes, right, and
Move
amend.
that.
Okay, John Allen, I have one question for you.
Motion, so.
Okay, all in favor, so we just, well, we do it all in favor, but yeah, on the table, all in favor.
16, 17, 18 amended.
Yeah, who made the motion?
Who made the motion?
I did. Okay, second, okay, thank you.
John Allen, I see board approval resolution to participate in town of Islip playground equipment, play equipment and site amenities contract.
So we have a playground up at Slocum that has a couple of damaged parts on it right now. That playground is closed. In order to get the parts, we either need to do a bid or go off of an existing contract. Town of Islip has that contract. And last year, anytime we want to use any of the municipalities or any of the school district's contract, we have to go through a board approval as per the ordinance.
Gotcha, thank you. Okay, so there was a motion on the table for items 2 through 14, no, sorry, 4 through 15. So is it all in favor on that? Aye. Okay, moving on to,
We did the other one, 16, 17, 18, right?
yes.
16, 17, 18 need to approve now.
Yeah, they just told it, they now they
And then you're gonna vote on it to,
amend, yeah, to approve.
Motion to approve as amended?
Yeah. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're moving on to reports, Board of Education committees. Item 9.
Policy met several times, we're still needed. That's all I have.
Item 7 is committee.
Are we moving those other committees back to the board purview, or are we leaving them in the public's purview? Do you remember that?
technology and.
Yeah, there was 4 in 2013, and now there's 2. in 2018. Can we put that on for discussion next week? Next meeting?
Okay, so, my committees have started, yes, so.
So discussion to re-elevate the technology committee to the board level.
Well, there was 2 of them.
And one was,
We used to have 4, and then we,
health and safety was defined from the buildings. So there's a facilities committee that's defined from health and safety. But the facilities committee is back. Trying to think which other one. So
I don't know, I emailed it.
Technology and facilities were the 2, and facilities had folded into health and safety, but facilities is back. So you still have 3.
so 3, not 4.
And technology one is at the administrative level at this point.
Right.
The biggest difference is that you have to appoint members versus just having your members be part of it. That's the biggest difference. If you're gonna have a board level committee, you need to appoint the board, every member of that committee.
Right. If we bring them back, right. But we don't have to have a committee, we can just do it on our own, too.
Yes, well, we have technology committees, B and stuff. It's part of the pillar reports, one of the things.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. Right, it was taken away from the board. The board used to do it exclusively, and now it's a full committee out to the public.
Correct.
So I just wanted to discuss it with the rest of the board to see if they want to do that. Yeah, I don't care whether we do it or we don't, I just wanted to see if they want to do it.
Got it.
Or put it on the board so they can join our committee.
Right, well, we, right. So I guess nobody else.
All right, moving on to superintendent of schools, Dr.
Thank you. Okay, so we have some great things coming up for the community, and we have our E&L Family Fun Night for all of our families who are new English language learners. That will be October 17th at Stoughton. Through Connect What Cares, there are free tickets for Addict or Not, which is the story of 5 teenagers and young adults who are faced with big decisions to use drugs or to not use drugs, to get help or to not get help, to make a friend or to not make a friend. That is Thursday, October 25th at 7 p.m. at the CM Performing Arts Center in Oakdale.
I understand that we and I got tickets for that.
There are free tickets. You just need to click on the link that was sent by Connect What Cares.
No, I believe Dr. Vegas had set us up tickets for me and I, that's what,
I will find that out for you.
What is this?
It is it's through Connect What Cares. It is a play basically describing healthy decision making. It's called Addict or Not, and it talks about a young person's view of it can't happen to me. And
What's the date?
The date is Thursday, October 25th at 7 p.m. at the CM Performing Arts Center.
Right, I can't go to that because I'll get
Me neither. Sorry, I knew there was a reason. So you want me to find out if you have tickets already?
I believe,
Lorraine tickets got it? Okay.
maybe you might be.
Okay. We've been invited, and we're going to have quite a few folks attend a unique training opportunity at Hofstra University on November 29th, the U.S. Secret Service, the Suffolk County Police Department, and the National Threat Assessment Center, which is a component of the U.S. Secret Service, will be providing training for administrators. So myself, a few members of my administrative team, and Don Flynn will be attending that. Unfortunately, although we applied to be part of the grant through the Suffolk County Police Department to create and install a virtual private network, a VPN router, to establish independent and secure network connections to participating school districts in town and village police departments, Suffolk County PD was not awarded funding. So, however, ConnectBot is way ahead of many school districts because we actually can hand any responding police or other emergency services an iPad at the site with access to our cameras because of our upgrade into our security. So we're ahead of this anyway. Town of Islip, I am part of the opioid and heroin task force. I am actually one of the educational arms of that, and we will be having our first public forum in the town of Islip on Monday, October 29th at 6:30 at the town hall. So if you're interested in being part of taking back the town from these addictions, I would love to see you there.
The 29th?
The 29th. I will put it on our website so that we can encourage folks to go. We had an amazing day on Friday. Quite a few of our administrative team went for professional development at the Long Island ASCD conference. We even had a presenter in Dr. Losing at one of the professional development seminars. I really just want to thank John Allen, Andrew Shevika, and all of the folks who helped this weekend. And since we have discovered the moisture issue and mold issue at OBMS, they've been tireless in their work in trying to make the building as clean as it can possibly be, and I can't really thank them enough for that. A couple dates you want to put on your calendar. October 16th from 2:30 on will be our blood drive. This year it's going to be at RMS. On October 18th is the Newsday Marching Band Festival at Mitchell Field, which is always a great night. We are usually either the third to last or the second to last band to go. So it gets pretty late, but they are absolutely amazing to watch, and all the bands, but ours is spectacular.
On October 19th, for all of you folks who are interested, Habitat for Humanity is having a Parents' Night Out. It's a fundraiser, and they babysit your kids at the high school from 6 to 9:30, so you can go out and have a nice dinner, or even start your holiday shopping without kids in tow. October 23rd through the 26th is United We Stand for a Drug-Free Community, which will be celebrated around the district. And finally, I just want to ask, I received a letter from Senators Boyle and Assemblyman Garbarino requesting that I facilitate a meeting to discuss the issues of the St. Anthony's High School bus. I did speak to Senator Boyle, finally got back to me. I did speak with him today. He would like to have this meeting where administration, the Board of Education, if you're interested, and concerned parents. And I said, well, I really also feel like we need legal counsel, because what he is suggesting, and a lot of our St. Anthony's parents are suggesting, is to do things that I don't think actually fit in the guidelines that we have. I have worked with parents at this point to look at if we were to try to expand the busing to 20 or 21 miles, which would then incorporate everybody, what that proposition would look like, because that would need to go in front of the voters. Unfortunately, expanding to 21 miles actually opens up 21 additional parochial and private
Is
schools.
he aware of that, Linda?
Is who?
Boyle aware of that?
He is, and he really...
And he still wants to press the issue on it.
Is he running?
Yeah, is he running this year?
Oh, yes.
Oh, of course he is.
So I just want to know if you would like me to put something together along those lines, because I certainly would like to have legal counsel there. So, because I think we have done some, I think we've manipulated within the system to give our St. Anthony's parents as much as we possibly can without having a voter referendum to bus further than 15 miles. But I will certainly facilitate that if the board is interested in me doing that.
I'm sorry, how many extra schools would it be?
21 additional private and parochial schools,
So,
if we were to bus to 21 miles.
so then you can ask him how he's gonna pay for that.
Well, he said maybe he could come up with some money, and I said, then you
Oh,
can
really?
do it, and you're more than welcome to come.
Well, let's meet with him. Is that a one-time deal?
Yeah, that's a one-time deal. Then I know, it's
Forever.
for perpetuity.
So, it's up to you folks, you can let me know if you want me to put that together.
All right, I also want to ask you a question, and there's something that we can do here. I understand Pat Med is doing a vaping presentation. I'd like to get our school district to be doing that.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So can you get Gail Santos to put something together for the community, and obviously bring their children and the dangerous effects of vaping?
Absolutely.
Okay, because they have their presentation on October 17th. So I don't know if you want to get somebody from the district just to take over there and
Sure.
and see what they're doing.
Yep.
And then maybe just get an idea of the community input and,
Okay.
Okay, I have a couple then.
Okay.
What about that group? Wonder?
I know it is being used to elementary school classes, and at our next board meeting, Gail Santo, Donna and Jennifer will be coming to talk about mental health and the big picture. So we'll be better able to discuss it in the next board meeting.
Okay, and what about having the neurologist or
Dr. Dewey?
Dr. Dewey, meeting with parents and children, middle school level, so they.
Talk about the brain.
Yeah, he was great.
It's a great presentation. I will be able to speak to you about the next week as well. That's all on the agenda for the next board meeting.
see, look at that, Lee, it's already on there.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share that.
I have two more things.
Wait.
Okay, you were done.
I'm not done yet. All right. Lee,
Yes.
business course, is it ever going to be expanded to add, like the advertising piece, maybe any other pieces, or is it going to stay?
Yes, we're in the process right now of meeting with all department heads, of course, they have been morning, so I haven't met yet with the business essentially director yet, but I'm sure they have questions. I will keep you posted.
So Dean, I had asked a question a few board meetings ago about when you created these academies. And I think we spoke about how you show recognition on the academies, and you never got back to me on
I'm sorry, I don't remember that, but I will look into the recognition and
Right, yeah, because we were talking about, obviously it's not on diploma recognition, but could it be something else to just recognizing children that do go through that process.
It could be something that's put in their profile, that's the profile that goes to the colleges. We could definitely put something in that.
Okay. And is there a lot of children that are going through the academy?
Yes, I'll get you the numbers.
Do you have what she got?
It was done, I know what the value was done.
All right, Linda, I have, well, actually, Mary Jane, you might know this one. There was a graduate of Connecticut High School who sent us an invitation, Tyler Robinson. I think he also called guidance, hasn't heard back from them. Did you hear about that?
I did. I actually left a message earlier this week.
Oh, good,
Or
because he called me.
Or last week. Maybe it was, losing my days. It was probably this Thursday or Friday.
So you did call him back?
I did.
Okay, good. Are we going to, can you explain, do you hear about what he wants us to do? Did you get an email? He said he emailed the Board of Ed as well as guidance. Tyler Robinson is his name. It might have looked like an advertisement, but he was offering us a free service from the ambulance corps, and he was getting grant money for it, and it would have been really great.
That sounds really neat, but I really thought it was in the net.
It's not. One of our graduates, Tyler Robinson. So
Okay.
he reached out to me the other day and said, "How come I haven't gotten a response back?" And I said, "From what?" And then he told me a little bit about it, and it sounded wonderful. And again, he's getting grant money to fund our tickets, 6 or 7 tickets.
Okay, I will look back at it.
For the guys, special ed, you know,
We did put it out to a number of our staff.
I know we need some answers back by the way.
Right, no, I told them, I said, we do have some conflicts within the district, and some of the dates later in the year, we definitely help us.
Okay.
Have people.
Good, as long as we answer him. So I just wanted to make sure, because he is a graduate here, and he's very confident.
I did leave my name down.
It's perfect. And then, when I was at the PTA meeting or PTA council meeting, one of the two, I was told, actually, I think it was council, I was told that the librarian next door has been visiting the elementary schools and talking about their makerspace and how great it is and how they've invited our district down to use their makerspace. And I know it's one of the big ticket items on our bond. And I'd like to know if we can get the librarian in to do a presentation to us, maybe if their makerspaces
We actually have makerspaces in all of our libraries throughout the district.
right now, or
Correct.
I thought it was in the bond.
We're making locations for those designated locations within the libraries, but we currently have makerspaces in each of our libraries across the district.
Okay, but I'd like to hear what that library has, because that's also a free resource as well for our kids. I know
It
we
is-
have
that
the
was-
3D printer.
She does it for, we have some partnerships with them
Okay.
where our kids participate after school in those activities. But a lot of the activities that they're doing, we are currently doing within the school
We
day.
have virtual reality like they have.
We do not have virtual reality.
So isn't that something that we should promote to our kids? I mean, that's a
We
great
are.
thing. We're doing that?
We're
I'd like to
promoting
hear a little
it,
bit
yes.
more about it, and I'm not in. on
Each
the
of our elementary schools
PTAs.
goes over, takes a field trip.
They do?
Yes.
Okay. But can she give us some information to forward? I mean, I'd
She,
like to hear-
absolutely, she meets with our
Did you see over there what they have?
librarians monthly. So
Okay.
she's part of our librarians meetings
Okay.
monthly. So it's a great partnership. I can also have our own librarians come in and talk about some of the great things that
Whoever,
they're
yeah,
doing as
because
well.
I saw that 3D printer today when I was over there. It's a big thing. I don't know what it costs. I know they have their VR, which was amazing. I saw all their comfy chairs and all their space that they're redoing up there. So I just wanted to make sure that we knew about that partnership thing. Okay, good. That's all I have. Yeah. And it's free. Well, it's not free. We already paid for it on taxes. But yeah.
Okay, Jean Monica? I know, leave us to your barber. You know, please, come on.
I'm sorry.
Okay, moving over to public comment, the same rules apply.
When the presentation was given by the gentleman who's down at the aesthetic guidance. Yes, I had a few things, being the parent of a graduate and having gone through the college process, there were a few things I had a concern about. He mentioned about putting the weighted average, which is really good, but I think we should put clearly how our Regents scores are used, because some districts don't use the Regents scores, some have different percentages, and I think it needs to be clearly stated, because it puts our kids in a different position if you're using the Regents scores in a different way. And if you want to be fair and show schools, our kids, we're comparing apples to oranges in some cases where those scores aren't used, or in states where those scores have nothing, no consequence, have no meaning.
That's a good point.
So I think that it should be clear. I know it goes on some sort of letter that gets attached, but I think that it needs to be right on the transcript, so they're not looking or overlooking that information, because it could make a difference. The other thing is, I think junior year was a little late about the college thing. We started looking during sophomore year, and even then we were like behind the 8 ball in some cases, that some of these works, going to college night, some of these things need to be opened up to the 10th graders, not to wait, because the process is overwhelming. I felt sort of alone in it, as I went to all the different parent meetings, but it was purely informational. It really didn't get you through the process. Once you got into the process, it's a whole other ball of wax, and I felt like we were just like floundering through the whole thing. And we made it, but it doesn't have to be that way. And there seems to be so many more resources, and with the redesign of the guidance department, I think that it would be helpful. Also, planning of coursework. That there definitely has to be a better planning of the sequence, especially AP versus honors versus college classes. That the sequence, because like my daughter took a class last year, a college class, and had they given her a different class the year before, she would have been better prepared, and she qualified, she would have been fine. But I think they just have to look a little bit better at the big picture of things and sequencing of classes, so that kids are prepared for the next class. And also challenging, balance of providing challenging coursework of the honors and college classes or whatever, challenging kids, but still balancing it within their ability level. Because I think once you get into categories a certain way, you may not be looked at as a candidate, and that would be helpful. The other thing is, you talked about preparing kids athletes for the college process. The music and arts kids need it too. I felt like I would tell a parent, don't ever audition at your first choice school if you're a music major, or if you're going to portfolio, to go to your lesser choice school so you get it under your belt. But I think that they don't prepare them for those things, and our kids in the music and the arts definitely need some sort of preparation as they're going through the college process, because it's not just you put an application out, I'm going to be an engineering student, your grades, it's more than your grades, your talent has to be seen, and I think the kids need to know how to showcase the talent in the best way. So going forward, that would be a really good idea to do something for the students in the arts. And we had an unprecedented number of kids going into music this year and getting accepted to music programs, and I mean, phenomenal music and the arts, and it was just very impressive watching my daughter and her classmates go through the process and who got accepted where. But I think that having more support is really necessary for kids that have to rely on an additional aspect of talent.
Thank you.
Linda, she made some excellent points. Also take them.
Good evening, Board. How are you? How you feeling?
I'm trying to stay awake.
Yeah. Good
Like
evening.
Carol in this place.
I'm here on, from last meeting, a friend of ours, Matt Tringali, that asked about sports. And I know, and please understand, a lot of people do appreciate the workload, the plate that you guys have. You have a lot of people. I understand that personally. Sports has become a year-round event activity, and it's not a specific sport, it's not a specific community, county, state. Unfortunately, it's rampant all over. I don't know the process that we have here. Hopefully you can enlighten me as far as who guides when a coach can be named, if you would, appointed to, given that position. Is it Section 11 that overrides the state? So overrides you guys? Is it the board that says, okay, so-and-so can be this coach? And I'm talking date right now, I'm not talking individual yet. Is it the athletic director that says, so I'm looking for a hierarchy.
Dr. Adams would be able to help. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Dean.
That's all right. So we have been advised by council regarding the dates that we put our postings out for our fall and spring sports. And that's the guidance that we're going by.
So who gives them the guidance? So in other words, who says January 1 volleyball? Where is that?
We generally club the two sports. So we have the fall sports that go out at one time and the spring sports go out at another time.
So you understand where preparation comes in?
Totally.
Okay. So is there room for modification? Is there room for change? Is there room for openness?
So posting it early.
Yeah.
It is
So
something that we...
let me get this straight. So it's council, it's not Section 11, it's not New York State, it's us.
Yes.
So technically, Salem could be different than Bayport, could be different than us.
So these are yearly appointments. So every coaching position is a yearly appointment. And we have been advised based on some practices that have been going on that we need to adjust hours so that it is in line with doing it 2 separate times so that the fall and spring is separated.
In an effort to avoid the disappointing events that happened last year, specifically for baseball, is there a way that we can address that sport soon? Number one. In addition to that question, does the public have, and I really lighten up on the public, what qualifications can we modify for a coach to be appointed a coach? Are we the hierarchy of rule? Is the hierarchy of rule governed by the Teachers Association, the Teachers Union? Do they typically run that?
No, what happens is that the athletic director.
I'm sorry?
It happens is that the athletic director, sorry, my fault.
That's okay.
Makes the recommendation, or makes a suggestion, and then Dr. Adams makes a recommendation. The board can either say yes, we agree with your recommendation, or we can say no, we do not agree with your recommendation. So ultimately, it stops here.
Okay, so last year we had a very terrible time of what happened with the specific sport. Number one, for the better part of 5, 6, 7 years, the good and the bad, I have to hear what goes on in the sporting community. Quite frankly, now I wish I had a better year of calculus, I would have loved that. But we have a soccer program, softball program, and I'm sorry I shouldn't name. We have programs where that are being coached by not unqualified, but less qualified. And happily, I got a year of the gentleman, thank you for hiring him, that guidance counselor, I forgot his name. Super guy. I think he's going to be an asset to the whole school, I really do. And I hope everybody comes on board. He's got a very, very tough nut. But I think once he is young, he's got his history falling behind him. But anyway, is there a way, I really want to try to avoid waiting until 3 days before the season starts to have a coach appointed, specifically for the JV baseball side. But if we, in addition to that being appointed, sports seems to be a big thing. And sports is an avenue for some kids to get into school where their academics may fall a little short. Happily, I'm not going to make that happen in my family.
Education first.
I'm sorry?
Education first.
Yeah, education always goes first. Absolutely. And quite frankly, I see the ups and downs. I can't tell you how many kids I've seen over the last 3, 4 years that excel in their sports. And I had the parents, specifically, the parents coming to me, my heart's broken. Why? Because they're not doing sports in college. Why? Well, because they got too much studies. That comes first. So it is that balance. I definitely understand we're not going to please everybody. But to see our kids, when I graduated school, I tell you, it was fantastic. Our varsity coaches, JV coaches, they were helping us get along. They were guiding us. They were walking with us, and they knew if we failed the test before we even failed the test. And they said, "You're not going to get into this college unless you do this." Society said, "Okay, yeah. Is there a way that we could change? Excuse me. Is there a way that we could try to avoid an issue specifically for baseball coming up by appointing somebody sooner? And is there it's a hard, is there a way that we could
Provide feedback.
put in, I'm sorry,
Provide feedback.
provide feedback to you guys about a specific coach?
So absolutely, I'll let the superintendent talk about the timeline process, but, you know, anytime that one of our employees performs well, we'd love to hear about it. If there are times where our employees do not perform well, we would also love to hear about it. You know, we have a director for each of our different departments that is responsible directly for the supervision of their staff. If something comes up, you know, we encourage people to call.
Mr. Kavanaugh is the best man, right?
Can't use names.
Shoot, sorry.
But that is something that, you know, whether it's the building principal, an assistant principal, a director of whatever department, please reach out to those individuals. If you're not satisfied with the response that you get from them, the next step would be...
You want us to reach out to the individual coach?
The first, you know, and I understand that there is sometimes a perception of retribution, and I have not seen it. If it has existed, if it has not been brought to our attention, speak to the coach, speak to if you're not satisfied with that, then you speak to the director of the department, there's the building principal, and then it would be either Ms. Banzi or myself who supervises a large percentage of the
Last question, before you can kick me out. Do you have any questions for me?
Am I supposed to have questions?
Not at all. I'm just wondering,
No. No, I'm sure if I had questions, probably Facebook and school.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so are we done?
Yeah, it's fine with everything.
Okay, we have an exec session tonight?
We had stuff that was left on there, I don't know if we're doing that or not.
Can we save for another time? Is it of higher importance?
There was three things that you want to say.
I think we need to go to executive to discuss with the legal counsel negotiations.
Oh, right.
All right, so I need a motion and a second to move out of public session.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Right.
I'll take a 5-minute recess and then we'll move into exec session.